right, welcome back everybody. Well, this week we're going to take on a great early 70s Rolling Stones track from Exile on Main Street. This is Happy by the Rolling Stones. And I am super happy because, well, I'm happy and I'm poorer than I was last week, but I'm happy. Those of us who have the guitar gas disease, we know that, well, if you look enough on Facebook Marketplace, or you look enough on Reverb, or you look enough on whatever guitar shop, you're going to find something that you just can't live without, right? So that happened to me last week. I found Carter Vintage Guitar here in Nashville. They had this 1975 Fender Custom Telecaster, or Telecaster Custom, one of the two. And I had to have it. It has Keith Richards all over it. I've been looking at these forever, and this one popped up. I negotiated it down a little bit, and here you go. I've got some things that I'm selling to make room for this, but what better song to do this on but this guitar, right? So anyway, I'm going to take you through the rhythm guitar that Keith plays and the complementary rhythm/lead and the lead guitar stuff that Mick Taylor plays on the recording. So if this is the kind of thing that you like and you haven't done so yet, please jump down, click subscribe, ring the bell. Bell will tell you when I drop new content. I do that every single week. All my lessons have chapters in them, so you can jump right to the part of the lesson that you want to see and bypass what you don't. And if you're looking for other ways to support the channel, I appreciate that. There's thanks, just like throwing a tip in the tip jar. Or even better, you can join my Patreon page where I've got chord charts and tabs for all the lessons I do on YouTube, just like this one. Links in the description, so check it out. All right, Happy, Rolling Stones. So let's start on this, shall we? All right, so this is open G. So if you don't know what open G tuning is, look it up. It's all over the internet. But you're going to tune it to open G, and you're going to put a capo on the 4th fret, because this song is in B. There's actually only 2 sort of chord positions in this whole song. And yes, I know that Keith Richards didn't use or took off his 6th string at some point in his life when he's doing his open G tuning. I'm not doing that, so stop screaming at me already in the comments about that. I know that. Okay? All right, so once you have that tuned up, this is basically an open B chord. Man, this guitar sounds great. Check out this middle position. And it's also the tuning that's used on the other Stones, great Stones song on this album, Tumbling Dice. So if you want a full lesson on that, click here after we're done with this one. But we're going to stick with Happy here. So I'm going to go, I don't know what pickup he used on it. It was really hard to tell. It sounded more like it was actually bridge pickup when I was getting close to it. So I'm going to go with that. So there's basically, talk about the chord shapes here. There's 4 chord shapes, and there's only 2 chord positions that are happening throughout this whole song, okay? So the whole song is going to bounce between a B chord and an E chord. And the B chord, we already know, is just open at the 4th fret here. This is an open B chord. The other chord position that we're going to move to is 5 frets up, which makes it an E. But that's actually your 9th fret, right? So, and there's really only 4 shapes that we're going to use on either of these positions, okay? Shape number 1, easy. It's just the open. Okay. Shape number 2, I'll do it up here on the 9th fret. Shape number 2 is your barred across. And yeah, I'm sort of deadening the 6th string, or I'm not playing it. But barring straight across, and you take your ring finger and you put it 2 frets up on the 3rd string. Okay. So that's one chord shape. The next chord shape is this one, very familiar. This is the Keith Richards, what a lot of people call the Keith Richards chord. And then there's a third one that sneaks in every once in a while, and I don't know if it's sort of on purpose or it just happens. It's this one. It's close. It's kind of a combination of the two, right? So it's that fingering that you see right there, okay? So those sort of happen all over the place in both positions. Okay? Those are the chord shapes. So the song opens with Keith's rhythm guitar. And if you notice, it's sort of like you hear a dead, he's like doing this. It's like eighth notes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? But if you count in, let's just count in 4 of them. He comes in after the 5th one. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he does that first chord that we learned, open, and then that. And then we're going to go to the regular Keith chord and open, right? So. And he's always doing that, you know, it's like on all these chords you sort of, like I'll show you sort of what's happening on here, but play it loose. He was playing it loose. He does that, right? Right. So that's the vibe on the opening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're down to our B, all right? Now, if you look how Keith plays it back in the olden times, and how I'm sure he recorded it, he had a slide. And I don't know where my slide is. Ah, here, it's in my pocket all the time. And he played it on his pinky finger. And I am horrible at slide on my pinky finger, so I am not going to use slide on my pinky finger. I sort of learned and have most control of slide on my 3rd finger, but that doesn't actually allow for the chording to happen very easy, okay? So I'm actually going to put the slide away for a minute. We'll come back to it. Let's just talk about what he's doing in terms of the rhythm chords. So after that intro, he's going to come down here to your B, and he's going to hit just the open 5th string, which is now a B note. Sometimes he'll catch both. And then he'll hit the octave at the 3rd and sometimes the 4th string. You see Keith doing this stuff all the time where he like holds his hand up like, I'm not playing a chord. This is one of those moments, right? And then he's going to slide, and this is where he plays and he uses the slide. He's going to slide up to that 5th fret and just play the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st strings. It's like the piece of the E chord that we left, because all we're doing is bouncing back and forth between a B and an E. I know we're not playing it like that, but that's what's going to happen. Or you could do it this way. Right? That's not, again, not what we're doing on the record, but chord-wise, it's B to E, B to E. But he slides up. Right? So that's what's happening. Now he uses a slide, so he's doing something like this. Right? I'm horrible at it, so I'm going to stop. Just stop. But that's where it's happening. So that's it. Right? And that's what's happening. Just great. And later on the horns double that. Super fat sound. But you can play it fully without a slide and it sounds amazing, right? And it's not really, in terms of a tone, it's really not a lot of dirt. It actually sounds very clean. It's a very clean tone that he's got on the record. Okay, so that's those lines. Now when you're going into your verse, it's very what you would expect from Keith. It's very Chuck Berry, you know, reminiscent. It's old-time rock and roll. All different variations of the chug chug rock and roll. And, you know, he's probably doing that, because sometimes you can hear that, but not every time. What a jam. So fun. But anyway, so just go back and forth between there. And he's loose, like I said. It's not robotic. He's not always doing the same thing. He's got those sort of triplet things that he throws in every once in a while. So have fun with it. He does play this cool little line around the hole in my pants lyric. He does that. Like Mick Taylor's doing something similar on slide, but there's a part that Keith does that. Never had a hole in my pants. Back to your chorus or pre-chorus, whatever. That's kind of it. This is just another one of those great golden Rolling Stones era where it's Keith and Mick Taylor, and it's, you know, 1 + 1 = 3. The guitars are much greater than the sum of their parts kind of thing. But, you know, Keith did that with Brian Jones before, you know, and it's just great. This is another example of that. So, but that's Keith's part. That's what he's doing through the verses. Later on, he's got more energy to it, sort of after the guitar solo. He's, you know, he just opens it up and gets a lot more into it, which is great. The only, during the first guitar solo, it's being played over the B. We'll learn the guitar solo in just a minute, but Keith's doing the same thing. Doing that during the first guitar solo. Second guitar solo starts over the E, and he's just doing his normal same thing that he's doing. And so on. And then it just progresses all the way out. On the outro, Keith's having a lot more fun. You can hear him doing this. Although he's doing it with a slide, right? Okay. All right, well, that's Keith Richards' part. Let's talk about all the noodling stuff that Mick Taylor does and the guitar solo stuff that Mick Taylor does. Let's switch guitars for that. Okay, so talking about Mick Taylor's parts now. Not sure exactly what guitar he used. Seems to be, people think he used his Les Paul or possibly his SG. But I'm just going to use my SG for a different tone here. Same tuning. You could also play this in an open B tuning on all these parts, and all the slide parts, they all fit sort of nicely too. But I'm going to stick with the open G tuning. That's what I think is happening on the record for both of them. Okay, so Mick's parts throughout here. In the intro, we heard Keith's part in the beginning all by himself, and then Mick Taylor comes in on the second half and just doubles him. then this part is the same. And then we're into our verse, right? So we learn Keith is doing his. Now, rather than Mick doing the exact same thing, like I said, this is Rolling Stones. They all sort of have different jams that they're going to do that add up to something bigger. So he's playing these little parts. Sometimes with the slide. You know, while Keith's chugging along. So just very complimentary. But that's the vibe that Mick Taylor's going for. You know, during that whole thing. And then again, up on the pre-chorus and chorus, it's the same of what Keith's doing. This would all be much easier if you were adept enough having a slide on your pinky, so you can do a lot easier. But I am not good enough, so I have to do this weird Frankenstein thing. Like that. Ouch. I'll just stop with that. Okay, so there's 2 guitar solos, like I said. The first one is played over that B section. You know, that B chord thing that Keith is doing underneath it. There's a couple different places you can play these. I'll show you a couple. But I believe on the record, there's some clues, at least on some of the things that you're hearing. So I'm going to stick again on the 2nd and 3rd string here for this first one. So this one opens up with, or you know, a lot of guys will play and the note is right. So on the record you can clearly hear vibrato on that note. So he's either playing it here, which would make it, or he's playing it up here. Which it doesn't sort of sound like that to me on the record. It sounds more trebly. So anyway. Then it slides up to a higher B note. And you can do that in a couple places. Here's one where a lot of people play it. Right there on the 12th fret. And you can hear the common sort of slide thing where you jump to a different string and you work up to almost the major third, but not quite, right? So in this case, because we've tuned, if you think of a B triad, your normal B triad is a D shaped here, but we've tuned down that first string, right? So that third is now up here. So that's kind of what happens there. So that's one place you can play that, or you can come up here. Here's another B triad spot. So you can sort of slide up there. And that falls into place sort of nicely. And let's try one more time. Or that sounds more right to me as far as the record. Now the next solo is when it goes up to your E chord later on, and you know, transitions from an E back to your B. And we're doing something very similar to, like, you know, that first solo or those little riffs that Mick Taylor plays during the verses. Right? He's just going to come all the way up here and do sort of higher octave versions of that. So that's coming all the way up here to 17, 18 on the first string. And you're just going to slide down 2 frets. And then there's your B triad. Right? And your slide sort of lead positioning there. Yeah. So those notes, I mean, that's where it's happening. And then we do this sort of lick down here. Up there. Because that's part of the E chord, right? And we're back down to our B. And then he continues after that up here at the higher octave B position. Just sort of jamming around that. So altogether, that's sort of slide du jour up there. But yeah, you put it all together and it sounds like this. From that point on, it's just more of the same. It's just a jam, more loose. I think you're just riffing on like more of that stuff all the way out. All the way out. So that's it. That's sort of Mick Taylor's approach and his sort of parts that stick out. So there you go. So that is Happy by the Rolling Stones, and I hope you learned something new today. If this is something that you like and you haven't done so yet, please jump down, click subscribe, ring the bell. The bell will tell you when I drop new content. And give me a thumbs up because that helps a lot too. I appreciate it. And let me know in the comments what you thought about this song. And if there's another one that you want me to take on and do a lesson similar, let me know what that is too. And until next week, take care, everybody.